And we're back. Stripe Show podcast on a Tuesday. I'm your host, Travis Fulton. Hope you're off to a good start this week. Appreciate you tuning in yesterday. All things Keegan Bradley yesterday on the podcast felt appropriate. 6 wins now on the PGA Tour after winning the Travelers, which probably felt like a major championship to him up there from where he is from, Vermont, went to school at St. John's. Some interesting stuff yesterday. Go check it out. Talked about his progression with his putting, which is nothing short of just a great story of perseverance and determination of teaching himself how to putt again since he couldn't use the belly putter, the impact that aim point has had on his putting, and then a little look at his swing. So he's in the field this week. Got to look ahead. Rocket Mortgage Classic this week. Joining me from home today. That's got to be nice. Keith Stewart, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well and enjoying my own bed for sure.
Yeah.
How about what is the likelihood that putter that won the U.S. Open also won the Travelers? I mean, is that the hottest item in all of golf right now or what?
Yeah. Sometimes you just have to go back to what works, right? I mean, it's just the way it is. And I tell you, his putting stroke, when you anchor it into the belly. Now, however you feel about that's not the point here. It's been banned and it's not coming back. But, Keegan, when he was young, he, of course, anchored into his stomach, and that's the way he always putt, and he did it within the rules. And then all of a sudden the USGA is like, you can't do that anymore. Oh, okay. Now I got to reteach myself how to putt. And you look at the way the style in which he putted last week and has been in that lead risk condition and how different it is to belly putting. I mean, he retaught himself completely. I'm talking shaft lean, loft on the putter face, the way the ball is going to come off the face, the ball speed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It all had to be rewired. It seems like easier said than done, right? He's a world-class player. It's not when you're out there trying to win golf tournaments and make a paycheck against guys that know how to putt. I mean, he lived in the red, as you know, Keith, for years, strokes gained putting. And he caught fire +7 and blew that field away.
I would even argue that the way that he putted had an impact on his full swing. Because if you look at the way his posture when he approaches the ball, it's almost like he's anchoring the butt end of the club. I mean, honestly, for a guy he's a big dude. He's a big dude. And hey, congrats to him because he's had some big wins. He's obviously won a major, but I mean, 2018, the BMW, he's won a WGC. He's won a FedEx Cup playoffs.
FedEx Cup.
He's won twice this season, this wraparound season. So overall, I think Keegan Bradley's good for golf. So kudos to him. And, I spent a lot of time in New England in my life, and the folks up there, they will remind you all the time they fought for this land, and they're pretty proud of their winners. So I'm sure they're all enjoying it up there. It was a fun week in Connecticut, but good to be back with you.
Speaking of that land, and that land that is the TPC up there, River Highlands. I've played it. Fun course. We talked about it.
Very fun.
What do you think of Rory's comments? Let me throw this out there. Rory McIlroy after his round, quote about TPC River Highlands. I don't particularly like when a tournament is like this. Unfortunately, technology has passed this course by. It's sort of made it obsolete, especially as soft as it has been with a little bit of rain that we've had. I've defended Rory. I like Rory. I don't know. This is a tough look for me. Come on, man. Really? This is where we're going with this tournament. That is a great tournament, elevated event, albeit you get into the 20s and win it, and you haven't won in a while. I don't know. This kind of lands a little sour grapes. I can't defend Rory here.
I'll say this much. The beauty of golf, and I know I'm preaching to the choir talking to you, but just for the listener's sake, is that we don't deal with a 10-foot rim and a 100-yard grid every week. It's the variety that makes it so much fun. And when someone can win on a golf course or compete like Ricky Fowler the week before, and then he can compete again the next week on a completely different golf course, I have so much respect for those people and their accomplishment and their game, their skill set, the conversations that we get in and out of every week. The same names don't pop all the time. And I think that level of variety makes it fun.
It does.
And I think that And it's not always length. I mean, look at the Charles Schwab and the contest that created versus, TPC River Highlands. So at the end of the day, I think that the fact that golf has all that variety, and most people could go play TPC River Highlands from the back tees and have some fun. And I'll be the first one to tell you that you don't want to go back tees on Oak Hill. So, after the PGA Championship. So I think that Rory is pressing.
Yeah, he is. He's pressing.
Obvious. It's
he's
obvious.
pressing. Yeah, it's obvious. And he's pressing behind the mic now a little bit as well. And I mean, the reality is we hadn't been in the 20s since the Century when it comes to elevated events, right? I mean, you got Rahm at Century 20, what was it, 27? It was way up there.
Yeah.
And then you got Farmers right after that. Homa, that was 13. I'll run down this real quick. Scheffler, 19. Genesis, 17. API was -9. Players, -17. The Masters, -12. RBC, -17. Wells Fargo, -19. PGA, -9. We had Hovland at Memorial, -7. US Open was -10. And now you go to the Travelers, -23. Keegan Bradley. All right, so that's a nice variety. The PGA Tour does a great job with this. It's a nice variety of courses. You've got some guys winning down there in single digits. You've got some guys down there in the low 10, 11, 12, 13. You got plenty around there 15, 16, 17, 18. And then you got a couple into the 20s. Now, we're going to probably be in the 20s again this week. I'm okay with it. Coming off the US Open was supposed to be the quote, the world's hardest test, right, in major golf. So I'm okay with it at the Travelers, right? I mean, I don't know. Rory needs I like Rory. I love Rory. I've defended him. But dude needs to take a few weeks off, I think, and just kind of reset, come back, Scottish Open Championship, see if we can clip one of those up. Enough talking, play golf.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with a couple weeks off. After last week's Comfort Inn outside of Hartford, I'm good. I'm good with my home bed. Let's do it. Come on.
All right. Well, here's what happens. All right. Here's what happens when you spend too much time at home.
I'm wondering, right? I got out of bed.
Oh man.
The morning rain clouds up my window, and I can't see Harry Hole. And even if I could, it would all be great. But your picture on my wall, it reminds me that it's not so bad.
You gotta give the Eminem part.
So bad. DJ, I wrote, but you still ain't calling. I left my cell, Steven Yeager, and my home phone at the bottom. I sent you 2 subpoenas back in autumn, you must not have got them. There probably was a problem with Live Golf or something. Sometimes I scribble addresses too badly when I jot them. But anyways, what's been up, man? Man, how's your daughter? My girlfriend's pregnant too. I'm about to be a father. If I have a daughter, guess what I'm gonna call her? I'm gonna name her Rory. I read about your Uncle Brooksy too, man. I'm sorry. I had a friend cry himself over some player who didn't want him. I know you probably hear this every day. I'm your biggest fan. I even love the underground deal you did with Al Ramier. I got a room full of posters and your pictures, man. I like what you did with Ricky too, man. That shit was whack. Anyways, I hope you get this, man. Hit me back, just a chat. Truly yours, your biggest fan, CT Pan.
Oh my. Well
So
done. Well done. What take was that? Like take 1, take 3? How many times did you have to do that?
full disclosure, before the background on that, that was my third take.
Okay.
That was my third take. Yeah. All those years on the radio that I did the pro show, I did a lot of, I've done a lot of lip syncing to alternate lyrics to relevant songs that have been created. And the background on that is there's a good friend of mine, Sia Najad, who works on the First Cut pod, and they go over, it's on the CBS network or whatever. And every Monday he throws out the strokes gained narrative, and just the most creative, imaginative people post these things on Twitter, where they bring together 6 names for a possible DFS lineup. So there's actually 6 players in the field, like CT Pan, Aaron Baddeley was in there, Steven Yeager, so on and so forth. And one of the guys who's a legendary creator of strokes gained narrative themes threw that out yesterday. And I sent a note to Sia, and I said, because his wife's very musically talented, I said, is Gigi going to do the Dido part? and will you do the wrap? And he was like, I can't touch that thing. And I was like, well, man, this thing was, that to me is what makes all of this fun.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I will never,
No,
I'm
that
serious.
was fun.
I'm serious about winning and treating the members of Read the Line and the Stripe Show and everything with the best possible content we can give. But every once in a while, you got to let air out of the balloon.
Oh yeah, you got to.
And if you go back through all my content over the years, I just had tons of fun doing some different things. Wolf of Wall Street, Yellow Ledbetter at the Masters.
Whoa.
I mean, oh yeah.
Whoa. Speaking of Pearl Jam, I actually I karaoke'd on Saturday night, full disclosure, for the first time since college. Good friend of mine turned 40 here, and he went out and he pretty much dragged me up there. It wasn't Yellow Ledbetter, it was Even Flow.
Oh.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. And I had there was 2 or 3 people in there that came up to me and said, hey, man, I follow your stuff, love it. And this, I'm like, pat on backwards, like, got an Uber home. It was, that was good times. Yeah, you gotta let your air out though, right? And I haven't gotta let your air out. And sometimes you just gotta sing a song,
Yeah,
just gotta karaoke and sing a song. So anyway, on that note, another city that knows a little something about music. That see what I did there? That's Detroit. And that's where we're going. Yeah, Music City here, baby. We're going to the Detroit Golf Club.
You just took everybody the 8 Mile right there.
Eric down the 8 Mile. Rocket Mortgage Classic. I really like what they've done to this tournament. I remember the first year they took it over from the Quicken Loans.
Yeah.
And it just felt right. Like they did it. It just felt like I liked that. I liked what I was looking at. And I liked the way it felt. I like the feedback I'm hearing, and I think they've really done a good job here. And I'm happy that they've got the field that they got. Now, it's not an elevated event, but by God, there's some players here this week.
Sure.
Ricky Fowler's here. So how is he the favorite? Ricky Fowler. Tony Finau is here, defending his title. Colin Morikawa, Matsuyama, JT, Max Homa, Tom Kim, Sung J.M., Keegan. Like that. Come on. Like this, that's not a bad lineup here this week for Detroit.
7 of the top 25 official world golf ranking, 37 of the top 100. Strength of field. I was thinking about this because I'm with you on this, on the narrative there, is that I was thinking to myself, other than 2020 out of COVID, is this the best field they've ever had, OWGR strength of field wise? And as it turns out, it was kind of, they've all been about the same in the high 200s. And then they broke 300 with the 2020 version. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that people weren't playing golf tournaments that year and they wanted to get as many in. But they do a great job here. And, Donald Ross facility right there in Detroit. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It is a good spot. I enjoy this tournament, and it's gonna be fun to watch again this year. And you look at this golf course, and look, it's a pretty easy track for the most part for these guys here. They're gonna hit a lot of fairways, they're gonna hit a lot of greens, the scrambling percentage is up. We need someone that is gonna make some birdies, right? If you're gonna get in 20s, as we've seen in the past, Finau was 26 under last year. I mean,
average 4 years is 23 under par. So there you go.
Cam Davis was 18 under in 2021. Bryson was 23 under in 2020, and then Nate Lashley was 25 under in 2019. All right, so we look, got to make some putts, got to make some birdies here. You're going to be seeing guys playing from the fairway. You're going to be seeing guys hitting a lot of greens, pretty straightforward up and downs. Bent grass courses 7,300-ish plus.
Give or take the day.
Looking at how the strokes gain kind of panned out. Strokes gain putting looks like number 1.
Yes.
And then strokes gain approach right under that, and then kind of a tie for third. Strokes gain off the tee and around the greens. I'll give you the floor. Give us some cliff notes here. What kind of player are we looking for? Is this kind of a wedge putt, or what do we have on our hands?
If you just look at the winners, Travis. I mean, you're talking about some bombers there. So I think that the numbers like 13 yards over average driving distance here at Detroit Golf Club over the PGA Tour average. So it's way over the concern that they have for driving accuracy. So when you see Bryson, Finau, Cam Davis, Matt Wolf, remember he was there, runner up to Bryson, this is bomber central. And even though it seems like it's somewhat of a tree-lined northern Donald Ross classic layout, they've done some good work with this golf course. The green complexes are very unique, 5,000 square feet, average green size. Every green has a greenside bunker. I just think it's one of the, it's going to be I think the Travelers was a very, very good from an approach and a putting perspective preview for this week. And the guys are going to let the shaft out when it comes down to the driver. And I think that, can Brian Harman win here? Yes, if he has a perfect week with the putter and his wedge game. But there's just going to be so many guys that are going to hit the ball a mile down there, and they're going to be equally as good with their wedges. So I think, what did we say last week? You need 20 birdies to win? Well, we were only off by 7. Keegan made 27 birdies. So I guess we got to raise the level and say, birdie or better, you got to have 30 or more this week in order to get to 25 under in order to win. So I think that a lot of the media, golf betting media, is going to overplay the putting contest aspect of it. I think it comes down to opportunities, and the more opportunities you can create inside 15, 10 feet come from being as far down near the green as possible, period.
Yeah, I like that. And look at last year, Taylor Pendrith right there, T2.
Yeah.
Speaking of a guy that can get it out there. All right, let's find ourselves a bomber. Let's find ourselves. Go ahead.
Speaking of bombers, and I know we'll get down the field in a minute, but I think one of the most interesting trends, and I brought this up yesterday on social media, was that if you look at the winners, right? So last year you got a guy 12-1. The year before that, 150-1. The year before that, 7-1, and the year before that, 250-1 with Nate Lashley. So if the trend is your friend, we could have some fun at the bottom of the board today. So I'm excited to get into this. Let it roll. Let's get some names flying.
All right. So we're going to the top of the board here. Rocket Mortgage Classic. Let's see how many names we can give people today. You ready for this?
Yeah, man.
We're on rapid fire today. Pay attention, folks. We're gonna give you some names. We got a lot of research here, and I'm sure we'll disagree on more than one. All right, Fowler, Finau, Morikawa, Matsuyama, and JT. Let's stop there. There's your top 5 in the field. JT still trying to find trying to find something with the something.
Wait a second. It took you like 35 minutes in the pod last week to get to JT, and now you're bringing up JT like 10 minutes in. What are we doing? What happened?
Right now,
did I miss something last week?
Man, I tell you, his head's got to be about ready to explode with the flat stick in his hand. Here's what I want him to do. Here's what I want JT to do. I want him. I want him to go up, aim the face, get comfortable, one look, and hit it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I want him to do. It'd be interesting, wouldn't it, just to see it, JT? Just just let it go. Let it go.
I tell you what,
one look, hit it.
I'd be more interested in watching those two go to like the Jersey Shore and play a mini golf event. He and Scotty Scheffler versus the 4 guys they're going to put up in like match number 17 that can't play golf.
Well, now wait a minute.
To me, that'd be entertaining.
Now wait a minute. You're on something here. You know who played mini golf the week before last week, don't you?
Who?
Keegan Bradley.
Oh man, they got a lot of sleeper putt places up there in New England.
Hey, Keegan Bradley goes minus 4.2 strokes gain approach, misses the cut at the Open. He hit the ball terrible at the Memorial the week before that, and we're going to roll into Travelers, and we're going to put money on him to win and lean on his putter at +7. I mean, that was golf in a damn nutshell right there last week.
Oh yeah.
So Keegan missed the cut, went and did putt with his family, comes back the next week and wins. So hopefully, JT, I mean, go hit some putt. You know what putt does to you? You know what it does?
Frees you up.
Takes the expectations off, right? It's like aim it, hit, aim it, hit, aim it, hit, aim it, hit.
Does Keegan take that putter with him there?
I don't know. Probably. Rumor had it he went low.
Oh, geez. I want to see that card. Come on. Give it to me on social.
So what do we do at top of the board? Are we interested in anybody here? You said no on Matsuyama last week. Matsuyama, his iron game has been absolutely through the roof. His driver, he seems to be fighting it a little bit. Morikawa still trying to kind of put the pieces together. Didn't hit the ball great last week, although his putting's been at least above average the last couple weeks. Finau is defending. Of the top 5, there's no question Fowler is in the most form when you look at it from a complete game standpoint. But we're going to bet Ricky Fowler at 14. Nah, I'll pass.
Well, but if he wins at 14, you still win 14-1.
I know. I'm just not. I can't.
Right.
I'm gonna. This to me, this is one I'm going down the board. I'm gonna give you some names. I'm going down the board. What was Keegan last week?
Let me answer the question.
100 and what? He won 40?
What's that?
Keegan last week to win
90.
He was 90.
90, yeah.
So he got back. Okay, so it was 90. So you like Fowler? That's you're taking him.
I'm between. I'm not 100% there yet for RTL readers, but I'm going to be somewhere between Fowler and Hideki at the top of my card. And Hideki brings up a very interesting conversation because he's hitting the ball tremendously well, but the putter has been a little bit fickle. And I started to look at some details because people are going to ask the question. They're going to say, well, like, can the putter just pop? Or do you need to have some form leading up to an event in order to, get to that? And I mean, you just explained it with Keegan. He was nowhere with anything, and then he gained 7 with the putter, and we're like, whoa, and he's presenting it to the caddy like he's a Shogun Warrior, So it's like, I looked at the previous winners, right? And Finau only gained in 2 of his last 4 starts, one of which he won prior to winning last year. Cam Davis, he gained in 4 of his 4 prior starts, right? Bryson, he gained in 5 of his 5 prior starts. Lashley in only 1 of 4. So 50% of the guys came in with fickle putters to this event, and they popped and they won. So as good as Hideki's hitting it, if all you need is, a somewhat hot week with Hideki with the putter, because as good as he's hitting it, I mean, he's number 1 in the field proximity to the hole. He's going to have 36 chances. He's going to have 50% of his holes. He's going to have legit birdie chances. That's to me the harder thing to do than to get the putter hot, as long as you're not JT or Scotty. So I could be talking to Hideki this week very easily, and Ricky's just been solid. I get the number's not what we want, but the number is the number.
Yeah.
And if you want to win, you need to pick the winner, and you just accept what they are. So those are the 2 names there. Outside of that, keep going.
I mean, I would definitely, I think I would give Fowler the nod over Hideki. The driver was better last week. I'll give him that at the Travelers. Positive 2.5, finished 13th. But you got to get at least, you got to go at least +4 here putting, at least. And you look at Hideki, he hasn't done that since January at the Farmers, +5.7. And then you got to go way back another year at Sony when he won positive 7.3. So, yeah, his iron game is so good right now. My goodness, I mean, it is really, really sharp.
Yeah.
I'm coming down the board. I'm coming down the board. Let's keep going. Max Homa just not playing good golf right now. Tom Kim, Sung Jae finally, showed a little something last week. There's Keegan. He's bet all the way down to 30 at this point. Cam Davis, we know, likes this place. He won here. What Cam Davis are we going to get? Harris English starting to put some pieces back together. He's right now at 40. Brian Harmon, if they could just play the Travelers every single week, Brian Harmon would win probably $20 million
or Sea Island
year.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's our second level. Is there anybody that we like in there? I mean, I think I'd probably pick Harris English.
I'm with you there, and I'm not picking him. So, what's been interesting? Even in the designated events, when we have these conversations, there's been a theme over the last 2 months we've been doing this. We talk a lot about there's featured guys at the top, and we hit that like 25 to 45 zone, and it's been a dead zone.
Yeah.
for like months. And then everyone gets excited about the Adam Scotts and the guys that, Shane Lowry's and everyone that are sitting between 50 and 80 and 50 and 90. And look, it just happened last week, Keegan at 90. It's just been interesting. That's all, just a trend. But there's nobody there that really, I mean, I watched Harris play last week because he was playing with Cantley and the first 2 rounds. And on a golf course he's won on a golf course in the Northeast, bent grass greens, all the reasons we might talk about. And it just wasn't sharp.
Yeah.
It just wasn't sharp.
It's interesting with Harris, like when his game is not really like the approach game. I mean, like you go back to even when he won the Travelers, right? What was that back in 2021? He only gained 1.5 strokes gain approach. Third at the U.S. Open, plus 4 points, plus 4.6 there. But Harris isn't that guy that's going to just, he's not going to just wear you out with strokes gain approach. Now, at the U.S. Open, he had a great U.S. Open. He finished 8th, positive 10.3. Even there, I said I'd probably pick Harris, but I don't think I'm going to pick Harris. I mean, I do think he's kind of on his way back. But I think if I had to pick, my second guy that I circled was, I'll just go ahead and say Keegan goes back to back.
I mean, the guy was so impressive last week. He was unbelievable. He was unbelievable.
Why not? Why not? Right? I think in this second tier, if I had to pick, I would, I think I was trying to talk myself into Harris. I'm coming off that. My second guy that I like, that's right. I'm going Keegan. There you go. I'm going back with Keegan.
I mean, for all the reasons we talked about last week, that like Wyndham might mentally take a week off or whatever. For all the opposite reasons, I think Keegan would love to just play as much as he could while he knows he's playing well and continue to compete. And, over the weekend, he had every reason to not keep shooting 0 going around that golf course. Mm-hmm. And he kept doing it. So God bless him. I mean, he's going to the same style of golf course. He's got to be a top 10 play for sure.
Yeah,
he's definitely let down.
Yeah, I think I'm sure he partied a little bit Sunday night, kind of rested on Monday. Now he comes cruising over here to Detroit, probably a little gassed even today. And, let's get rested up and come back out. All right.
So the question is,
not in love with anybody there.
How are the putt-putt courses in and around Detroit Golf Club? Are there any good ones?
I don't know. Hopefully
scouting.
Hopefully he's going to go hit one up tomorrow before he goes out there. All right. How about Ludwig Aberg? Is this you give him? Man. You give him a shot here with this.
I tell you, I knew this was going to come up, okay. And I was going to counter you and say, all right, you got $50 to throw down. You put it on Ludwig, or you putting it in Austin Eckroat?
Oh, that's a no-brainer. Ludwig.
Yeah, this guy's strong, but so's Austin.
Yeah, he is. Austin's playing well. I just think ceiling-wise, it's Aberg. Now, let's talk about Austin Eckroat, though, because, look, I went last 24 rounds, custom model here. Number 1, obviously, is Ricky Fowler. You know who number 2 is? Austin Eckroat.
Keegan. Oh, Austin?
Yeah. Last 24 rounds, kind of, factored in the key stats, just like we're talking about, approach, putting, strokes gained par 5s. I put in their opportunities gained, huge stat, birdies, key ranges, proximity 125 to 150, even 100, 125. Kind of weighted out and ran that last 24 rounds coming in. Who's playing the hottest? Ricky Fowler, Austin Eckroat.
Yeah.
Austin Eckroat, I told you a couple weeks back, that kid's not scared, and he's not afraid to make. He's not afraid to make birdies. I put who's made the most birdies in the last 24 rounds. Keegan's number 1.
Okay.
Who's number 2, who I do kind of like this week? I don't know if I'll play him to win, but as a long shot to think about, it's Carson Young.
Oh, the other Young.
Yeah. Forever young. we should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's
Carson Young makes a ton of birdies, man. Lots of looks, good putter. Wedge game, needs some work. Overall approach rates out okay. All right. if we're looking for an angle, Carson Young is one. All right, Piercy makes a lot of birdies. Last 24 rounds, Colin Morikawa is fourth.
Which is anti what everyone would think,
It's
because
weird.
if you can't putt good, how do you make that many birdies?
It's weird. That doesn't make sense, right?
And he misses the cut last week.
Doesn't make sense. Like, a lot of mistakes happening there for Morikawa.
Legit, that's how good he hits it with his irons.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy, if he could putt like Carson Young, he'd be like Scotty Scheffler, but win. I mean, it's like, it's unbelievable how good that guy hits it.
Let's keep going down this birdie board real quick. Ricky Fowler, Doe, Max Homa, Dylan Wu. Nikolai Hogard's an interesting name this week.
Just got into the field.
Yep.
He was an alternate. Just got in.
Proximity. Well, he hadn't. So proximity, 125. Pretty good there. Driving distance, check. We know Hogard can hit it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He hits a lot of greens in regulation too, which is, something that when you bring up skill set, shocker, folks, Scotty Scheffler last year and this year leads the tour in greens in regulation. It's a good stat to have in your back pocket. And Hogard does it. So it's a good one.
All right.
Good wedge player too. Hogard.
Good wedge player.
Good. Yeah. Real good wedge player.
So another guy that always rates out pretty good, that's just under Eckroat in the last 24 rounds, is Ben On. He's 50 right now. Jagerbaum, 50. Guy that's going to be on the podcast tomorrow, I really like this week. Alex Smalley. 60. Alex Smalley.
Let's talk about it.
Let's do it, baby, because he's coming on the podcast tomorrow. He's going to give us full insight on the course after his round and give us some insight on playing some good golf right now. Top 10 last week. Talked about him briefly. Love him this week. Alex Smalley. Talk to me about him.
Well, incredible ball striking right now. He's gaining, over 2 or 3, both off the tee and on approach. Guy can hit it out there. He can move the golf ball. He's got some ball speed. The putter can be shaky, but, he's been working all year with David Orr. And David Orr was a putting coach before. Well, he was a full swing coach always, but he is an expert in putting. And I think at some point, all of the work that they've been doing since last October, November, when they got together, has certainly started to cement in his ball striking, because everyone's been looking for Smalley to kind of show up. But if you look at the last 6 weeks or so, the ball striking's really been there and the putting needs to come around, but the putter has flashed. So, could he be Nate Lashley? Great ball striker that comes in here and wins. I mean, he's sitting in that range too. He's sitting in that dangerous range. He's what, like 60 to 1 on your board there?
Yep.
Yeah. He's sitting in that range, and he could score on par 4s. Obviously, with that game, he's scoring on par 5s. Hits a ton of greens in regulation. Smalley will be on my card. He's going to be on my card.
Last 24 rounds, he ranks out in the top. He's 9th for me coming in. He's definitely showing some form coming in. I'm an Alex Smalley guy. I've been kind of pumping him up. For most of the year. I would bet him regardless if he was coming on the podcast tomorrow. He's a guy that I'm definitely on. Now Chris Kirk is underneath him. He's not exactly playing and going the right direction. Sepp Straka, 60. Ooh. Aaron Rye.
He's got good course history. Straka.
Yeah, Sepp's kind of interesting here. And then Aaron Rye always seems to check out pretty good when you look at the stats. But is Aaron Rye ready to win?
Oh, man. Yeah, on Thursday.
Yeah.
But we play 4 days.
Yeah.
With pants. So, I don't know.
Talking about Sepp.
Sepp's got some good course history, my friend.
38th at the Travelers.
Yeah, he's missed the last 2 cuts here, but prior to that, he had a T8 and a T11. He was definitely somebody I'd scratched down some notes on that I was digging into. He looked solid at the Travelers. I saw him on the range. I did not see him, full disclosure, on the golf course. He looked comfortable. He's somebody that I know a little bit. I was with a student a couple of years ago at final qualifying for U.S. Open, and Sepp was in the group, so I got to talk to him a bunch. and his twin brother was caddying for him, so I got to know him a little bit. They'll have Diet Coke for him out there at Detroit Golf Club. There's no doubt about that.
He's a good guy. Good old boy.
Yeah. And he is he pounds it.
Yeah, he does.
And he won that Honda with his driver. And
His driver's been good.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that Sepp is somebody, again, he's in that dangerous range where you like to make money in golf betting. He's probably 50, 55 on your board there.
He's 60.
Oh,
yeah.
Excuse me. I got to run to the window. I'll be right back to the podcast.
I think I'm going to sprinkle some money on Sepp. I had him circled. And here's what you have to understand about Sepp Straka. All right.
Yeah. Give it to me.
He can pound it. His driver's good. His short game, I think, is above average. He will make some putts. But Sepp Straka is the definition of finding something in his swing and going berserk with it, and going deep, especially with his irons. I mean, he goes, there's not a guy that'll go negative 0.4, -1, -2, -3 strokes in approach. Bam, positive 10.4 at PGA Championship. And then go -1, -2, and then bam, positive 7 strokes in approach at Memorial.
Well, how about the playoff loss last year at the FedEx in Memphis?
Yeah.
He had missed 107 cuts in a row, and then he's in a playoff against Will Zalatoris, and he's going nuts. But he's had better form recently, and the approach game, he's definitely a better scoring iron player than he is long iron player, and it shows in the numbers.
Yeah.
So this is a good fit for him for sure, and it's shown in the past. I mean, the guy's got 2 top 11s in 4 starts there. So he gets the golf course. What I mean by get, folks, is that, some guys, they try to always put a round peg in a square hole. And Sepp seems to figure out that he's like, no, there's actually a square peg to put in this hole. And I can do that.
I think I'm going to sprinkle it on Sepp.
Okay.
I like Smalley. I like
Smalley
Sepp
for sure. Yeah.
I'll pass on Rye. Hadwin, Hostler. JJ Spawn has played well here.
Yep. Good course history there.
Taylor Moore, interesting name. 60. I see him high as 65. Patrick Rogers, 65.
Missed cut last week. Yeah.
Gordon Sargent, plus 75. Do we go young pup with Ludwig? Adam Shank, we see him. We see him run up the board. Brandon Wu, 80. Doug Gim. I like Doug Gim. Doug Gim's playing some pretty good golf. Now, can he shoot 25 under? Doug Gim's playing some pretty good golf right now. He really is.
There's no doubt about it. And we could definitely put a spotlight on that. But is he the player that's going to make 30 birdies?
Yeah.
Sepp can make 30 birdies.
Yeah.
Right?
Real quick, though, Doug Gim. Last four tournaments.
Hit me.
27th, 19th, 12th, and 15th. Iron game. Superb. I've watched Doug Gim play. That dude can drive it too. I did a piece with him, was it a year and a half ago, and we went out and played some holes. I mean, Jesus, he is the stripe show. I mean, that dude off the tee, irons, short game, I think is getting better. Man, his putter is his weakness.
Okay.
But I think he has shown a little growth, but no, I'm not betting him. He can't get to 26. There you go. I'll bet Sepp, not Doug. Give me Doug top 20. How's that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's about winning,
Yeah, right. Yeah. We're trying to pick a winner here. Yeah. Anybody in there that you, that you're interested in that middle range there? Should we keep going? I think there's some names.
Keep going. Cause we've already highlighted Sepp and Smalley and,
okay. So now we start getting into the Joseph Brantlands of the world, the Justin Suh, Davis Riley, Hubbard, will get some play. What about Nikolai? Sure. What about Nikolai Hogard or Sam Stevens? I know you're big on Stevens. How about Thomas Dietrich? Dietrich, will be up there, but can he win is a whole different story when the pressure hits come Sunday.
In that range, so you bring up Doug Gim. Yep. And he's the great ball striker and the putting suffers. And then you've got Justin Suh, and the putting is otherworldly, and the ball striking comes and goes. It can be great like it was at the PGA, and then it can have its moments. So in a week like this, you want Gim or Suh to make 30 birdies? Who
Right.
who can make 30 birdies for me?
Yeah, I mean, you got to get the guy that can make it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
well, but you just said earlier that it's about opportunities too, right? And about getting it close. I mean, you look at let's look at Suh here real quick.
I wasn't committing yet, but which one do you want out of Gim and Suh?
Gosh, I think I'd take Suh.
All right. I'm Gim.
Okay.
I'm going to stick to my theme.
All right. I
I'm
think
going
I'd
to
take
stick to
Suh.
we'll call it.
I think Suh's pretty good. I think his wedges are fine. I mean, I think he'll.
Yeah.
I'll take Suh out of that. All right. Let me get back to my board here. Hold on. Look at look at Tom Hoagie. Tom Hoagie's down at 90.
How about Davis Riley? Look some numbers up there.
We're gonna go back to Riley. We're going back to Davis Riley. That's what we're doing right now.
Because Davis Riley, he's at 90, right? Or right around there, depending on the board you're looking at. So there's a guy who he can make 30 birdies for sure. He's in the 30 birdie club, and he pounds it. Pound for pound, he pounds it. I remember watching him.
Negative 5.5 strokes against approach last week. Well, that's what Keegan was about that. Keegan was negative 4.5 the week before he won.
What was his driver last week at Travelers and his putter?
Right. Good. Positive 3.2, positive 6.2.
Yep. Because it's the approach game is going to be masked this week. That's why it's almost equal to that of off the tee if you look at the four winners and their averages over the course of those editions. Right. So at the PGA Tour, I like to think everyone can hit the green from 125 yards. Right. So proximity to the hole, I get all that. But a guy like Davis Riley in that range, who gets the driver in play and has the putter, I think that's more of our blueprint this week.
All right.
You agree or disagree?
That's interesting. No, I think it's interesting that they're going to, because they know they're going to push it down there, right? They're going to push it down there. What's the weather look like? Probably going to be hot. Ball's going to be going there.
Ball's going to be flying. Yeah, we're talking high 80s. Now they're making a big deal about the storm, and they should for safety purposes and the work that the crew is doing. But they got about an inch of rain on Sunday night with some wicked storms that knocked some trees over and such. But in June, they've gotten less than 2 inches of rain, so the golf course is going to be perfect. They're supposed to get a little rain this weekend, but it's going to be hot and humid. The ball's going to be flying. I mean, it is not going to come down. Taylor Pendrith's going to hit drives and they're going to land in Canada. So it's
why not Nikolai Hogard then? So Hogard can bomb it. His putter's not bad.
He can.
And his proximity 125 and 150 is pretty good.
No, he's a good wedge player. He flights it. I've watched him hit some balls on the range at Memorial. I watched him for about a half an hour because I wasn't familiar with his game, and he really, really traps the ball nicely.
All right, so I'll take Hogard. You take Riley. How's that?
In that range?
Yeah,
good. Yes.
That work?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm on Hogard. You're on Riley with the narrative as we've established. Driving it off the tee.
Driver putter.
Give me the putter. Give me some wedge work. All right, let's find us another one. So now we're getting down into Pendrith. He finished second last year. He's 100-1. Ryan Palmer's in there if you're interested. Bezuidenhout, Kevin Yu, Lee Hodges, Nick Hardy, Svensson, the Canadian, 125. Well, there you go. Akshay Bhatia.
Akshay can make 30 birdies.
He can go unconscious, 125-1.
Yeah. I think of all the names you just listed, the two guys that can make the most birdies this week, not in the past, but this week are Kevin Yu and Akshay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really what it comes down to. It's just it's the accumulation of how low can you go day after day. I mean, it was just showing up to the golf course last week, Travis. and watching guys. So the first day I walked with Denny in the afternoon.
Mhm.
After I watched Cantley in the morning sleepwalk through 65, and that was the highest score he could have shot. I said, "Oh my goodness, this place. If there's no wind this afternoon, it's perfect scoring conditions. These guys are going to go nuts." And I watched Denny in the afternoon on 59 watch, right? And then the next day you show up, and then Keegan goes, what, 2 days of sub 64,
Mhm.
right? And I'm like, oh man, like how many times have we seen in our, just watching golf in our lives, not even just trying to predict anything, right? Where a guy goes sub 64 and the next day he could barely break 70. And you get to thinking to yourself, like, there's only so many birdies in the world to go around. Well, man, they passed out a bunch last week.
Mhm.
For two guys to be 15 under after 2 rounds on a par 70 is legit deep.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to see the same sort of thing this week. And you really have to pay attention to that birdie or better list and that proximity list. You got to get 36 legit birdie chances. So in your mind, what's a legit birdie chance? What length putt?
12, 15.
So we say anything 15, 16 and in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you got to get 36 to 40 of those. We're only playing 72 holes. Right? I mean, that's just it's a huge number. Yes, Keegan had 27 birdies, but he probably gave himself 40 chances in that range. And that level of ball striking,
So that's why I picked Justin Suh in that, because I think Suh is going to make birdies. Last 50 rounds, he's 10th. Is Suh.
good point. It's a good point.
Bradley's right there at 7. You know who else makes a ton of birdies is Scott Piercy.
Yeah. Yeah.
God, Morikawa is 3rd. That's fascinating. Fascinating. Really
There's
is.
There's going to come a time where Morikawa, whatever's going on in his world, whatever he figures out, he will just go nuts. Like it could be like this year's FedEx Cup, where he wins 2 of the playoffs, and then just cruises through the Tour Championship and wins the FedEx Cup. And
I got to sprinkle a little on Morikawa. I think.
What just happened?
As we're going through this, and I'm looking at, and you really, I think you go back to the top of the board. If I sprinkled a little, it'd be Morikawa. Just my goodness. I mean, there's now driving distance, not the longest. Takes care of the par 5s, tons of opportunities, makes birdies, just some mistakes in there, just some mistakes. This birdie list is interesting. As you kind of just push it out, Akshay is 15th in the last 50 rounds. I mean, I think I'll sprinkle a little on Akshay. Why not? I think I think he's been close. He's going to bust his driver down there. So this field wide open. Let's go. Akshay, I'll sprinkle a little. I'm with you.
How about Tom Kim? Tom Kim makes birdies. Now we're back down near the favorites. Folks, we are not following. This is not a linear show, just as PSA real quick. Tom Kim, we want to talk about birdies.
Okay. Tom Kim. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't see him in the line. Let's see how many he makes. He's down. He's last 50 rounds. He's 37th. Now, good. 100, 150. He's good, right? I mean, he's that kid with the wedge 9 in his hand is really good.
Yeah. Good par 5 score.
Approach. Yep. Good on the par 5s. Not very long.
Limit the rounds on that list to 24 instead of, what'd you have, 50 there, you said?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of the same names. You get a few that'll pop up there. Really interesting as as we're going through these picks here is that, last 24 rounds, last 50, who's kind of riding it coming in. Then you stretch out to last 100. And you look at you look at the last 24. Okay, last 24 rounds. There's my boy Carson Young at 2, who I'm going to sprinkle a little on.
Carson Young. How about the Wu-Tang Clan when it comes to making birdies?
Okay, so there's Kim. He's now 11th.
Yeah, he's been playing better as of late. He had
probably the best wedge player
Q1
in the field as of late. Nikolai Hogard, 9. Let's go. Let's go, Hogard.
You skipped over my Wu-Tang Clan. How about Dylan and Brandon?
Dylan
Those
Wu,
guys
Dylan
they
Wu.
make
Yeah,
a
he's
million
8.
birdies. Those guys.
Dylan Wu's 8. Yep.
They make a million birdies.
Zheng Do is 6. That's how you say it, right?
I think
Sure.
I think you could get a
Carson
double Wu top
Young's
20.
going to win this thing.
Carson Young is going to be probably on my card.
Carson Young's going to win this thing. I'm telling you.
Carson Young. I'm not
150 to 1, right? 160 on one book. Let's go. I'm betting Carson Young. I've got my Nikolai Hogard. I've got my Akshay. And who did I miss? Oh, and I got my Alex Smalley.
in the field, right?
How
Carson
about that
Young.
for a card? How about that for a card?
Hey, there was a C. Young that came runner-up last year, so it's just a different guy. It's
How far down the board are we going to take this thing? Dylan Wu is 150.
I was walking back to the media center last week, and he made eagle on 18 on Friday from about 150 yards out. He just hooped it right next to me. I was like, "Whoa!" I tell you, the Wu guys make a ton of birdies. Ton of birdies. I say brothers all the time. They're not brothers. So for full clarity, neither are the Polsons. They're not related either. So
here's another guy real quick. Here's another guy that can bomb it off the tee. You make a lot of birdies. Will Gordon.
Yep. Flash Gordon for sure. But where does he fall last 24 rounds?
Well, pretty good. Actually, he's right now, he's 15th. Doug Gim, we mentioned him. He's 18th. Brandon Wu, 24th. Brandon Wu, 13th. Dylan Wu, 8th. So
Yeah,
valid points on the Wu-Tang Clan.
Look at that. I mean, I think I got to go double Wu top 20 or something this week.
Okay.
All
right. There's Davis Riley down there shooting 76. He's 36 on money. All right. Is there anybody else? Do we go down the board more, perhaps, as we get down into, let's mention some more names. There's Webb Simpson, David Lipsky, Thompson, Hoffman, Novak, Hadley, Willett.
So there's a name, right? Hadley. No driver, but the putter is always in fuego. Does he have to hit it in the fairway? The guy slings it pretty good. Does he have to get it in the fairway? And is he a good enough wedge player in order to capitalize with his putter there?
Yeah.
Troy Merritt's down there. He's got great course history. Just not
Troy Merritt does have great course history. Yeah, that's a good point. 251. Boise State Broncos. Yeah. Zach Blair, 250 to 1. He made some money last week.
Yeah, he did. Could he be healthy finally after like a year and a half off of that medical?
Yeah.
Good player.
Boy, Joel Damon is all the way down at the bottom of the board, man. He is struggling now.
I spent a lot of time with Joel and Gino on Wednesday afternoon talking about a number of things, and golf was not one of them. Yeah. So that gives you an idea.
Well, I might be playing golf with Gino when I go on vacation. I'll be heading back down to the Lewis and Clarkson Valley, where both those guys are from. That's where I went to college. And and so the way Joel's playing, they might both be playing with me on on Thursday when I'm in town. So hopefully he can get some things turned around. All right, hey, this was good. Lots of names.
Yeah.
And wow, what a card. I mean, this just feels. I'm going berserk this week. It's interesting tournament. Interesting.
It's going to be fun to watch, just like last week. How much fun was that on Saturday watching all those guys go low?
It was fun, Rory.
Oh man,
huh?
Too fun. You're great.
It was fun, Rory. I mean,
man. Oh, stop.
He's gone cold, I'm wondering, right?
All right. Keith Stewart at Read the Line. Thank you, sir. That was fun.
Always a best. You know what I'm going to say. Nothing better than being on a Stripe show, my friend. See you next week.
I got out of bed at all. The morning rain clouds up my window, and I can't see Harry Hall. And even if I could, it would